In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. From darkness came light, from emptiness, life. And God saw it all, and it was very good. Follow me as we journey through this life-changing story in chapters, with each chapter symbolizing the essence of the story.
A long, long time ago, before there was you, before there were your parents, before there were any people at all, there was nothing. No mountains, no oceans, no clouds, no stars, just a deep, deep quiet. A stillness that went on forever. But God was there. He had always been there. Before time even had a name. God never had a beginning, and He will never have an end. He is forever. And in that endless, quiet space, He was not lonely. He was full of love, full of joy, and full of a beautiful idea. God was thinking of something wonderful. He imagined a world filled with light and color, bright skies and soft grass, shimmering seas and towering mountains. He imagined animals running and playing, fish swimming in sparkling waters, and birds singing happy songs in the air. But most of all, He imagined people who could know Him, love Him, and walk beside Him in the world He was about to make. It was all in His heart, like a story waiting to be told. And then, in that perfect moment, God decided it was time to begin. The greatest story ever told was about to start.
And then, it happened. In the deep, endless darkness, God spoke. His voice was strong but gentle, full of power and love. It wasn't a shout, but when He spoke, every corner of the empty space listened. Let there be light. And in that very moment, whoosh! Light burst into the darkness like a great wave of golden sunshine. It was brighter than the brightest candle, warmer than the coziest blanket, and more beautiful than anything that had ever been seen, because this was the very first time there had ever been light. The light danced and shimmered, chasing away the shadows. Where there had been nothing, now there was brightness and warmth. The light reached far and wide, filling every space with its glow. God smiled. He was pleased. Then God gave the light a name. He called it day. And the darkness? That He called night. And so the first day began. The very first morning. The very first evening. Time had started ticking its gentle rhythm. It was only the beginning. But already, the world was starting to wake up.
The very next day, God looked at the brand new light and darkness, and He decided to make something more. The world was still empty, covered in swirling waters, like a giant, endless ocean. There was no place yet for clouds to float, no space for the wind to blow, no sky for the sun to shine in. But God knew exactly what to do. With His voice, gentle yet mighty, He spoke again. Let there be a space between the waters to separate water from water. And just like that, whoosh, the waters began to pull apart. Some stayed below, rolling and glistening like a shimmering sea. And above, a vast, open space appeared. It stretched high and wide, bluer than any color the world had ever seen. God made the air to fill that space, soft and fresh, ready for the winds to dance through it. He painted the first clouds, fluffy and white, like giant pillows drifting lazily above the waves. The waters below sparkled under the light, and the sky above seemed to sing with freedom. God smiled again, for it was exactly as He imagined, and He called that space above sky. The day slowly faded into night, and the stars watched over the quiet waters below. Another day of creation was complete, and the world was beginning to take shape, piece by beautiful piece. The next morning, the sky stretched wide above the waters, and the clouds drifted like giant soft ships in the blue. But below, there was still only the endless ocean. No mountains, no fields, no place for animals to run or trees to grow. God looked at the world and smiled. He was about to change that. With his powerful yet loving voice, he spoke again. "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." At once the waters began to swirl and rush, gathering together like rivers finding their way home. From deep below, the dry ground rose up, first as little hills, then as wide valleys, and then as towering mountains that reached high toward the clouds. The ground was rich and brown, ready for life. God called the dry ground land, and the waters he gathered together he called seas. But he wasn't done yet. God had something even more beautiful in mind. He spoke again, his words filling the air like seeds falling gently to the earth. "Let the land grow plants, grass, flowers, and trees, each one with seeds to grow more of its kind." And in an instant, the world began to bloom. Soft green grass spread across the hills like a living carpet. Tiny flowers popped open in every color. Yellow like the morning sun, red like warm fire, blue like the peaceful sky. Tall trees stretched upward, their branches heavy with shiny green leaves. Some trees grew sweet, juicy fruits that swayed gently in the breeze. The land was no longer empty. It was alive. The air was fresh and sweet, and the ground was covered with God's gift of beauty. God looked at what he had made, and it was good. And so, another day ended. The sky turned gold with the evening light, and the new land rested under a blanket of stars, ready for what God would make next. The world was now bursting with beauty. The seas sparkled, the land was green and full of life, and the sky stretched wide above it all. But there was something missing. The days and nights came and went, but there was nothing yet to guide them. God wanted to give the world lights, not just to brighten it, but to mark the passing of time, so that his new creation would have mornings, evenings, seasons, and years. So God spoke again. "Let there be lights in the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them shine to mark the times and seasons." At once the deep blue sky blazed with golden light as God placed a bright, shining sun high above the world. Its warmth poured down onto the land, making the flowers lift their heads and the grass dance in the breeze. The seas sparkled like liquid silver under its rays, but God knew the night should be just as beautiful. So when the sun began to sink, he placed in the dark sky a glowing moon, soft and gentle, like a silver lantern watching over the earth while it slept. And then, God added one more gift. He sprinkled the sky with countless tiny lights. Stars more than anyone could ever count. They twinkled and shimmered, winking at the earth from far, far away. Some were small and faint, others large and bright, but each one was perfectly placed. God looked at his new lights, the golden sun for the day, the silver moon for the night, and the dancing stars for the joy of all who would look up at them. And it was good. The fourth day ended, and as the stars shone and the moon drifted across the sky, the earth rested under its new heavenly lights. The earth was now bright with sunshine, cooled by gentle nights, and alive with flowers, trees, and grass. But something was still missing. The world was too quiet. No splashes in the seas, no fluttering wings in the skies, no songs in the air. God smiled. He knew exactly what to do next. He spoke again, his voice carrying joy into the world. "Let the waters be filled with living creatures, and let birds fly across the sky above the earth." At once the oceans began to stir. Bubbles rose from the deep, and out from the blue came creatures of every shape and size. Tiny, colorful fish darted like rainbows in the water. Dolphins leaped joyfully into the air, splashing in the sunlight. Giant whales glided gracefully, singing deep songs that rolled through the seas. Sea turtles paddled slowly near the surface, and crabs scurried playfully along the sandy ocean floor. The water sparkled with life, creatures swimming, swirling, and playing in every corner of the seas God had made. Then the skies above began to flutter. Feathers of every color filled the air. Bright red, shining blue, golden yellow, snowy white. Some birds soared high above the clouds, riding the wind. Others darted quickly from tree to tree, chirping cheerful songs. Eagles spread their great wings, gliding silently, while tiny hummingbirds zipped from flower to flower, sipping sweet nectar. The world was no longer silent. It was filled with the sounds of splashing waves, singing birds, and the whisper of wings in the air. God looked at his oceans and skies, and he blessed every creature, saying, "Be fruitful and fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." The seas danced, the skies sang, and the fifth day came to an end, full of movement, music, and joy. The seas were alive with fish and dolphins, the skies danced with birds, and the land was green with grass, flowers, and trees. But the ground was still quiet. No paw prints in the dirt, no laughter or voices to walk with God. God's heart was full of joy, and he was ready to fill the land with life. He spoke again, his words bursting with creative power. "Let the land produce living creatures of every kind, the wild animals, the tame animals, and the creatures that move along the ground." And in an instant, the world began to rumble and stir. Out from the forest came gentle deer, stepping softly through the grass. Mighty lions lifted their golden heads and roared, their voices echoing across the valleys. Elephants trumpeted as they walked together in great, slow steps. Bears lumbered through the trees while rabbits hopped playfully in the meadows. In the deserts, camels padded softly over the sand. In the high mountains, goats leapt from rock to rock. On the grasslands, zebras galloped in herds, their stripes flashing in the sun. From the smallest mouse to the tallest giraffe, from the slow tortoise to the speedy cheetah, every creature took its place in God's brand new world. God looked at the animals and smiled, but he wasn't done yet. The most special part of creation was still to come. Then God spoke in a new way, not just to the world, but within himself. "Let us make people in our image, to be like us. They will care for the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and every creature that moves on the ground." So God bent down to the earth he had made, and from the dust he shaped the very first man. Carefully, lovingly, he formed his hands, his eyes, his smile. And then God breathed into him the breath of life. The man's eyes opened, and he took his first breath, standing tall in the world God had created. His name was Adam, but God saw that it was not good for the man to be alone. So, from Adam, he made the very first woman, Eve, to be his friend, his partner, and his helper. Adam and Eve opened their eyes to see a world more beautiful than they could have imagined. The rivers glistening, the trees heavy with fruit, the skies stretching endlessly above them. And there, walking with them, was God himself. He blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and fill the earth. Rule over the fish, the birds, and every living thing." And as the sun set that day, the land was alive with animals, and the hearts of the very first people were full of joy. The sixth day had ended, but the story of God's world and his friendship with the people he had made was only just beginning. The world was now complete. The seas danced with shimmering fish and gentle waves. The skies sang with the songs of birds and the whispers of the wind. The land was alive with animals, green grass, and blooming flowers. And in the very center of it all, Adam and Eve walked in a beautiful garden, talking with God. Everything God had dreamed of had come to life. It was perfect. It was good. On the seventh day, God did something different. He didn't speak the seas into motion or call more animals to roam the earth. Instead, he rested. Not because he was tired. No, God never grows weary. But because his work was finished, and it was time to enjoy the beauty of everything he had made. The golden sun rose gently over the garden, casting a warm glow on the rivers and trees. The animals rested in the shade, their bellies full and their hearts calm. The birds sang softer songs as if they too knew it was a special day. Adam and Eve strolled hand in hand, their bare feet brushing through the soft grass. They listened to the rustle of the leaves, the gentle splash of the river, and the quiet voice of God speaking with them in the cool of the day. The world was at peace. There was no rushing, no noise, no hurry. Only stillness, only joy, only love. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, a day set apart for rest, for peace, and for remembering his goodness. And so the first week in the history of the world came to an end, not with a shout, but with a quiet, perfect pause. The heavens and the earth were finished, and all of creation rested under the care of its creator. Thank you for taking your time to watch this Bible tale. I hope it will help to bring you to a better understanding of your creator. If you enjoyed this story and its narration, kindly subscribe to the Bible Folktales channel to watch other Bible stories in this series.